This is Transformers96 here with another video. I'm going to be talking about some new information from Marvel Legends. This is a rumored second wave to go after the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure X-Men wave. So this is at the moment a rumor. However, I have covered rumors before from Marvel Legends that have turned out to be really true, and this is one that was getting a lot of attention, and it seems very plausible. So I would take it with good authority that this is most likely true. However, definitely don't consider it as absolute truth at the moment. Only time will tell that. But for now, this is the rumored second wave of the X-Men figures from Marvel Legends. So let's get talking about it. First of all, just if you don't know, the first wave is this. You can see all the figures there with the Build-A-Figure of Juggernaut. One of the most anticipated Marvel Legends waves in a long time for many people, including myself. So, of course, a second wave is what we all want, especially since there is a real lack of X-Men figures from Hasbro in general, really any scale, and so, of course, getting X-Men figures is always exciting, and to get a follow-up to one of the most anticipated Marvel Legends waves is something special in its own. So let's break down all the figures here. I have an image of all the characters that are rumored to be in this wave. The only thing that hasn't been confirmed yet is a Build-A-Figure. No rumors on that, and you know, who really knows at this point. But the figures consist of, just starting off from the list, Shatterstar. Shatterstar is the one on the bottom left there. This is the one character that I have no clue who it is. I even tried to do a bit of research before making this video and looking up the character, and I couldn't find much about her, and I've seen, and Shatterstar seems to be a guy a lot of times too. This is the image that was provided with this list, so I used it for this, and but most of the images that I found and the information I found was all about a guy named Shatterstar that lived in Mojo World, which I do like the connection to Mojo because I'm a big Mojo fan, but other than that, I really don't know much about the character, and I have no idea if they'll do a male or female, or I'm assuming this is a female. It looks like a female. I don't know. So Shatterstar is the only one that I'm really not too excited about with this wave, and definitely one that I'm not excited about until I'll learn more or until I see the actual figure. Visually, like this image, if they go with this costume, it looks pretty interesting, so, you know, figure might be quite nice. Then Colossus. Colossus is excellent. You know, Colossus, they could have chose to make him the Build-A-Figure if they wanted to. You know, he would be a bit smaller than your average Build-A-Figure, but he would still qualify as Build-A-Figure size, so I'm glad that they're not, or, you know, if this is true, I'm glad that they're not, and that they are including him in as a regular figure. I hope they go super classic, you know. Basically, this image that I've got here, just classic, you know, Cyclops costume. I would definitely like that, and obviously I do hope that it is a new mold to make him tall, because a lot of their really tough guy molds are not super tall. They're just very, you know, beefy, so it would be nice to get a new sculpt that's actually tall, and that all the lines in his metal skin is actually sculpted on instead of just painted. But who knows how they'll go with it, if they will redesign a mold for him, or if they will just repaint another one. We'll have to see. Then Polaris, I know her by name and her look. I don't know much about the actual character though, but I am familiar with her just from a visual sense. She looks very cool. I think that her costume is very nice. Hopefully we get a nicely designed cape to go along with it, and then her hair looks very cool. I definitely think that they can do a nice job with the actual head sculpt, but figure-wise, I'm not super excited about that. Then Sunfire. Sunfire is a character that I've never connected with too much, other than visually. I think that he's got a really cool costume, but I don't care for the actual character too extremely much. Also, in Days of Future Past, I found him to be really lackluster. Out of all of those characters that were in the future scenes but that didn't do much, I think Sunfire was the one that was the least interesting out of all of them. And, you know, he controls fire. He should be really cool, but he's always just kind of a clash with Pyro, which is a much cooler X-Men character that can use fire. So for me, I'm not super excited about this, although I do like his costume. So a figure would be nice, but character-wise, I'm not super into Sunfire. And then there's Dazzler. Dazzler is a character that I know purely because there were so many rumors of Taylor Swift playing the Dazzler in X-Men Days of Future Past. There was a picture of, I believe it was Bryan Singer and McAvoy. What's his name? something McAvoy. James McAvoy, I think it is. Yeah, the one that plays the younger Professor X. A picture of them with Taylor Swift before the before Days of Future Past came out, and a lot of people speculated that she would make a cameo as the Dazzler. So that's why that's the only reason I know the Dazzler. You know, I think that it would be a pretty easy figure for them to do, just basically repaint everything with a new head sculpt. Her costume's nothing too special or nothing that they would need to sculpt on, it can all just be painted, and her costume does look nice. Not a figure that I'd be super excited about, although I do like how I kind of know the character from that story, so have a figure representation of that would always be really interesting to me, so you know, I'd be up for that. Not one that I'd be super excited about, but I'd be, it would be worth it. And then skipping Cyclops, I'll come back to him, and then Wolverine. No idea on what costume they would use. They've done a lot of Wolverines in the past, and one in the previous wave. However, in the previous wave, they're doing that more of the dark yellow with the brown. So maybe they'll go with some obscure Wolverine costume, or what they can do is just do a really classic one. I don't remember the last time that they did a purely classic Wolverine. Maybe it wasn't too long ago, but for me personally, I can't remember it. So a really nice, just classic, like first appearance Wolverine would be pretty cool, and I would definitely be interested in that. Although, you know, obviously I don't really want more Wolverines if I've already have some, so I would have preferred a different character. But if they are going to do Wolverine, really nice classic one would be good. Now, Cyclops is the most interesting out of this bunch for a lot of people. I would be very excited for this. A lot of people are hoping that it would be the costume that he wears in the 90s that was drawn by something Lee. I almost want to say James Lee, but I don't know if that's correct. But you can see him there with Cyclops. As you can see, you know, really nice, cool, classic-looking costume with the just blue, you know, bodysuit with really bright yellow highlights to it. It's a very cool, classic Cyclops look. It's basically what everybody thinks of when you say Cyclops. So I would certainly hope that they do go with this look. They've done 2 Cyclopses in the past, I believe. Yeah, one in the box set with some X-Men figures, and then the other one was in the Jubilee wave, and both of them were based off of somewhat obscure Cyclops costumes, so it would make sense that they would go with a really classic looking one now, especially since they've crossed out 2 others on the list, so I think there's a very good chance they would go with that look for Cyclops. But there you go, there's the assortment. As far as Build-A-Figure goes, I think that the ones that pop into your mind are going to be Apocalypse and Sentinels. You know, those are 2 of the big Marvel-related, or sorry, I mean X-Men-related characters that they can choose from. They can go with somebody obscure, however, I think that those 2 come to mind since they've already used Juggernaut, and since Colossus is in the wave, he obviously can't be the Build-A-Figure, so very cool. It sounds like a nice wave. It certainly isn't anywhere near the caliber of the first wave. I think the first wave is a lot better. I think that some of these characters are weak. Figure-wise, they might be quite good, though, with the exception of Cyclops and Colossus. I think that those 2 are super strong. I think everybody's just going to be excited for them. But the rest of these, I think that is kind of a mixed bag, whether people will be excited for them or not, based on whether they have a personal fondness for the characters. But there you go, sounding like a nice wave. Definitely be interested to hear if this is true, and if it is, I'd be super interested to actually see what the figures look like. Hopefully at San Diego Comic-Con this year, that would be excellent. So there you go, that's my thoughts on the new rumored Wave 2 for the X-Men Marvel Legends series. Thanks so much for watching.